First of all, let us meet the Hudson Maxim. Hudson Maxim was an American inventor, mechanical engineer, and explosives expert. He worked as a consultant for DuPont Company from 1897 to 1927 and wrote books on explosive literacy and political matters. Hudson Maxim was born to a poor but mechanically gifted family. His older brother Hiram invented the Maxim gun, the first truly efficient automatic machine gun, and his nephew Hiram Percy Maxim invented the silencer. Hudson was the first to successfully produce smokeless powder in America. He said, all progress is born of inquiry. Doubt is often better than overconfidence, for it leads to inquiry, and inquiry leads to invention. This statement underlines the significance of research. Research is used to establish or confirm the facts, reaffirm the results of previous work, solve new or existing problems, support theorems, or develop new theories. Research inculcates scientific and inductive thinking, and it promotes the development of logical habits of thinking and organization. The role of research in several fields has greatly increased in modern times. Research provides the basis for nearly all governmental policies in our economic system. Research has its special significance in solving various operational and planning problems of business and industry. Research is equally important for social scientists in studying social relationship and in seeking answers to various societal problems. Thus, research is the foundation of knowledge for the sake of knowledge and an important source of providing guidelines for solving different problems. It is a sort of formal training which enables one to understand the new developments in one's field in a better way. That's why it is important to develop research aptitude. That's why it is important to develop research aptitude. Research aptitude is the ability to do something with a scientific and systematic approach. I repeat, the research aptitude is the ability to do something with a scientific and systematic approach. It comes with the very ability to ask questions and having an utter curiosity rather than taking things granted. If something is happening or occurring, then the ability to systematically find the reason behind it is research aptitude. I'm sure henceforth you will also look for reasons for happening around you, whether in your field or society, and will contribute to solving the problems systematically. With this thought in mind, let us begin. Before starting today's session, let us take a review of last session. In the last session, we talk about the meaning of research, what research is not, what research is, steps in research, the meaning of research paper, the need of research, motivation in research, research skills, enhancing research skills, identifying research community, identifying research paper area, types of research papers, the structure of typical research paper, and research ethics. Based on the last session, a quiz was circulated for 10 marks, and almost all the participants have attempted the quiz. Apart from this, an assignment was also circulated, and we found that almost 28 people have attempted the assignment. This number is up to 1 p.m. and the questions for the assignment were as follows. Let me show you. Questions are: identify 5 most significant journals, probably by different publishers related to your field, and complete the following activity. You were supposed to determine you were supposed to note down the name of journal, indexing, published by, impact factor, journal scope, and read the peer review process of journal, subscribe for the notification. Second question was, for any journal mentioned above, download author's guideline or information to authors and read it. Third question was, identify 5 most significant conferences related to your field and complete the following activity. For each conference, you need to write the name of conference, sponsored by, call for papers, theme of conference, deadline. Then identify a broad research area for your studies and identify 5 researchers in your area. This was the assignment, but we found that some people or some participants found difficulty, or they did not understand how to do this. Actually, I demonstrated this last time, but again I will demonstrate this in a short time. Here I will show you. I hope you can see this. We can go to IEEE societies. After going to IEEE societies, I am clicking here. So this will indicate the list of societies associated with the IEEE. Then I will be going in power, energy and industry applications. I'm clicking there. So it is having 6 societies related to that particular topic. Then I will go for industry application. This is the society, IEEE Industry Application Society. Then we can go to the website of IEEE Industry Society Applications. So here that page will open. This is the page of IEEE Society on Industry Applications. Now here you can see publications. So I will click here. I will click on the publications associated with the society. So now here you can see that the publications are IEEE Transactions on Industry Application. This is one publication. IEEE Industry Application Magazine. This is another publication with this society. Open Journal of Industry Application. This is third one. Again, thereafter there is newsletter. Transactions on Transportation Electrification. Transaction on Sustainable Energy. IEEE Electrification Magazine and Transaction on Smart Grid. These are the journals associated with this society. These are the journals associated with this society. We will click on this one, IEEE Transactions on Industry Application. So we can see here, this is the journal. Then we'll directly go to the page where we can note down all these points. Now here you can see that about the journal. Now this is the journal page. IEEE Transactions on Industry Applications. Just click here about the journal. Here you can see the aims and scope. The scope of the IEEE Transaction on Industry Application includes all the scope items of the IEEE Industry Application Society. That is the advancement of the theory and practice of electrical and electronics engineering in the development of design, manufacturing and application of electrical system, apparatus, devices and control to the processes and equipments of industry and commerce, right? So this is the scope. Here they indicate what topics or what contents will be published by this journal. Here also you can see the subjects: power, energy, industry application, signal processing analysis, field waves and electromagnetics, components, circuit devices and systems. This will be published under this journal. This will be published under this journal. Here you can see the impact factor. Here you can see eigenfactor, other parameters, bibliometric parameters, eigenfactor and article influence score. Then here you can see submission guidelines, submit manuscript, author center. If I click here, author center, then we can see the peer review process of the journal. We can go for the, here it is peer review process. This is writing for the author, then peer review process, and after the paper is accepted or manuscript is accepted for the publication, what happens next? So this is given here. So writing, peer review, publication. Writing means authors are writing the paper and submitting to the journal. Then journal is taking that, editor and chief editor are taking our manuscript and sending it to the reviewer, that is peer review process. And once the manuscript is accepted, what goes in the publication, that will be covered here. So you can just go through these heads. After that, you can just subscribe this journal so that you can get monthly notification about new articles published by the journal. So you can click here and you can subscribe it if it is relevant to you, right? After that, if we want to see the indexing, most of the times it is given by the journal on the home page, but here it is not given. This is a standard journal, so it is not given. But for most of the journals, it is given on the home page, whether it is SCI, Scopus, or UGC Care. But there are other professional websites where you can see the indexing. So if I type here IEEE transactions on industry applications indexing, then you can see this. You can get the information here. You can get it here, whether it is Scopus or what. So this information can be obtained here. This is generally provided by other professional journals systems where you can get the indexing of that particular journal. So this can be done for 5 journals of your interest. Then the next task is to identify the conferences. Here you can see on the same page of the society, here you can see events and conferences. You can click here and you can see it will open the page events and conferences schedule. So here you can see the conferences, upcoming conferences 2020, right? Then 2021, here it is starting 2020. Suppose we go for this conference which is held in India, Greater Noida. So here you can go on the page of this conference. So International Conference on Computing, Communication and Intelligent Systems, right? So here call for paper you can see where they can provide you the topics for the conference. Then important dates. So everything will be available on this page. Deadline, theme of the conference, call for papers and sponsored by. So everything will be available. And fourth was the identify the broad research area for your studies that you can identify through after discussing with your professor, guide or supervisor, or you can identify on your own in which area you have the interest, or you can go for researching it. Fifth one was identify the 5 researchers in the area. Like here, suppose if I want to see that if my area is suppose design and control of filters, design and control of filters, I will just write here if this is my area of research, design and control of if this is my area of interest, I'm interested in to design some filters for the system. So design and control of filters. So now it is showing 19,000 conference publications, 6,000 journal configuration publications, 202 early access. That means those are accepted, but page number and volume number are not assigned. Magazines, courses, books, and standards. So if this is my interest, here you can see authors. Here you can see the authors. Now this particular author is having 109 publications on his name related to this particular topic, design and control of filters. Then this is second author, Peng Shi, 68 papers are on his name which are related to this. Depending upon that, you can identify a particular author which is related to your area. Or when you go for detailed study, definitely you can find out some more authors related to your area. This is one way of identifying the author or researcher working in your area. So this is about the assignment. This is I'm showing with respect to IEEE, but it is equally applicable for all other publishers and journals with little differences. With this, you can complete your assignment, and you can submit your assignment by midnight today. I expect that those who have not completed the assignment will complete the assignment by midnight, because you will have to complete the assignment for this week as well. In case of any doubt or clarification, you can just talk to Pankaj sir or me, or you can just write on the WhatsApp group. So we'll help you to solve your assignment. Okay, now let us move ahead. Learning outcomes. So let us now move to today's topic of discussion. The following are the learning outcomes for today's session. At the end of this session, you will be able to select and define your own research problem, considering various parameters, provided you have identified your own research area in the last assignment. These parameters will be discussed in this section. In this session, you will be able to narrow down your research problem and split the research problem into sub problems. This is one more important step in research, because solving the problem as it is generally is not possible. So it is better to divide it into sub problems. You will also be able to decide the tentative methodology and plan your research work. So these are the learning outcomes for today's session. Moving ahead, this is an outline of today's presentation. Here in this session of week 2, I will talk about the research problem, the purpose of research problem, selecting a research problem, narrowing the research problem, and dividing the problem into sub problems. After that, we will see the difference between the research problem and research question. Next, we will discuss characteristics of research question. And then we will see how the methodology is decided for a research and how work is planned. I will illustrate some points with the examples. So let us start. Research problem. In the week 1 session, we have seen that what is research. In the process of research, the first and very important step is to select and define a research problem. The research problem is generally defined as a statement about the area of concern, a condition to be improved, performance to be enhanced, efficacy to be improved, cost parameter to be minimized, a difficulty to be eliminated or overcome, an open question that exists in the literature, theory, or in practice to be solved, a topic to be addressed, investigated, or studied, whether descriptively or experimentally. The research problem is typically a topic, phenomenon, or challenge that you are interested in and with which you are at least somewhat familiar. Please note that a research problem does not show how to solve the problem. It just provides the broad statement about the issue or concern. Let us see what is the purpose of research problem. Quite often, we all hear that a problem clearly stated is a problem half solved. I repeat, a problem clearly stated is a problem half solved. This statement signifies the need for dealing a research problem. The problem to be investigated must be defined unambiguously, which will help to discriminate relevant data from the irrelevant ones. An appropriate definition of the research problem will enable the researcher to be on the track, whereas ill-defined or not properly defined problem may create hurdles. Questions like which system, plant, or process is to be investigated? What parameters, variables are to be monitored or controlled? What relations among the system variables are to be explored? What techniques are to be used for the purpose? And similar other questions come up in the mind of the researcher only when the research problem is well defined. Thus, defining a research problem properly is a prerequisite for any study and is a step of the highest importance. In fact, the formulation of the problem is often more essential than its solution. We can work out research design and can smoothly carry on all the consequential steps involved while doing research only when we go for careful detailing of the research problem. An appropriately defined research problem provides a proper sequence of the research activities. It helps you to avoid unnecessary steps in the research. A research problem helps you understand the research procedure in a better manner. Most beginners in the research think that a research problem is easy to formulate, but in reality it is not so. A research problem needs great thought on the part of the researcher to formulate a scientific research problem. A scientific research problem is one that can be solved using scientific procedures. In actuality, the purpose of the research problem is to determine the objective and intention of the research. Please note that the purpose of the research problem is to determine the objective and the intention of the research, motivation of the research. In the absence of the aim or objective, you cannot determine the research methodology. A research problem can help you identify every step of the research process. In the absence of the clear and well-defined research problem, the researcher can become confused. Additionally, the research question or the research problem should have to be interesting so that the researcher becomes well engaged in the research. The passion of the researcher in conducting the research matters a lot in the research. So the purpose of the research problem is to introduce the reader to the importance of the topic being studied. As a result, the reader is oriented to the significance of the study and the research questions. Also, the purpose of the research problem is to place the problem into a particular context that defines the parameters of what is to be investigated. Again, the purpose of the research problem is to provide the framework for reporting the results and indicate what is probably necessary to conduct the study and explain how the findings will present this information. Further, the purpose of the research problem is to present the research question, hypothesis, or assumptions to follow. When you are writing a manuscript, research problem offers a concise statement about the purpose of your paper. I repeat, when you are writing a manuscript means when you are writing a paper, research paper, that time research problem offers a concise statement about the purpose of your paper. So let us move to the very important topic of today's discussion, that is selecting a problem. I understand that some of you are already doing research and have identified their own topic. However, this discussion will be immensely helpful to select further research topics in your area in future. And for those who have not selected any topic, research topic for their study, for them, this will be a guideline, a proper guideline, so as to select their own topic. So please be with me for this presentation and listen it carefully. As I said earlier, the research problem section is very important step. Sufficient time should be spent on it before finalizing the problem. Here I will tell you what parameters to be considered while selecting a research problem and how to select the research problem. The first point that I will tell you is the problem selected for the research should be familiar and feasible so that the related research material or resources are within your reach. And if you decide your topic somehow, you cannot immediately tell or note down what resources are required for the selected problem. When I say resources means software requirement, hardware requirement, your own understanding about the problem, technical help, something like that. So that are resources, online help. So these are the resources. For this purpose, you have to contact an expert or a professor who is already engaged in this research. You may discuss with others what he or she has in mind concerning a problem In this way, you should make all possible efforts in selecting the problem. So what is the first step? You can discuss with your professor, guide, supervisor, colleagues, peers, and you can discuss that topic and you can finalize the topic. That is first step. Second, sometimes when you ask your supervisor about the research problem, that time he may also say that come with your own research problem. I do not have any research problem for you. In that case, you can read, review, or survey articles published by referred journals in current literature available on the particular topic or subject. Generally, review or survey articles published by the peer-reviewed journals are invited papers. Our invited paper means the journal editor and editor-in-chief, they ask the experts to write the survey on particular area, and they publish that particular review or survey. These are written by the experts working on or researching the area for long. The review article provides state-of-the-art technological or theoretical developments along with future scope or challenges ahead. From these future challenges, you can select your own research problem. After that, you can look for other published research papers on the same topic where you can think about how the techniques and ideas discussed therein might be applied to the solution of your own problem. This will help you to define your research problem. After doing this, you can approach the professor or supervisor and get his inputs for the further improvement. So the first point was selecting first point for selecting the research problem was to discuss with the expert or the professor. Second was to refer the literature. Now, when I say refer the literature, that means I am talking about the survey papers or review papers. Here I can show you one example. I will be showing you you can see this survey paper. Vehicles of the future, a survey of research on safety issues. How to identify the research problem here, that I will show you here. This is in general topic, vehicles of the future. It is published by IEEE Transactions on Intelligent Transportation System. This is recently published May 2017 paper. You can also search a survey paper in your area, in your whatever area that you have decided in your assignment number 1. On that topic, you can identify or find out survey, review, or overview paper. So this is one survey paper. Now, what is given here? Information and communication technologies have a profound impact on the current state and envisioned future of automobiles. This paper presents an overview of research on ICT-based support and assistance services for the safety of future connected vehicles. A general classification and a brief description of the focus areas for research and development in this direction are given under the titles of vehicle detection, road detection, lane detection, pedestrian detection, drowsiness detection, and collision avoidance. I request all the participants to mute themselves. There is some noise. So, a general classification and a brief description of the focus areas for the research and development in this direction are given under the title. So they are discussing these titles: vehicle detection, road detection, lane detection, pedestrian detection, drowsiness detection, and collision avoidance. On these topics, they are providing the survey. On these topics, they are providing the review. Following an overview and taxonomy of the reviewed research articles, a categorized literature survey of safety critical applications is presented in detail. Right? So this is a survey on these techniques. So what is given here? This is introduction. They are briefly discussing all these points. This is a survey based on the parameters like measurement, execution, and analysis, and they have referred these many research papers for this survey. I will not go in much detail of this. I will just indicate the organization of the paper. Here they are giving the control loop, perception and taxonomy of the literature. Then safety in future vehicles. This is a literature review. So here you can see how they have gone for the literature review. Topic wise literature review is given. I will not go in this. I will just show you how to identify the research problem from such a survey paper. So here at the end of any survey paper, they provide the future recommendation, challenges or future scope. So in this paper also, they are providing the future directions for this area. What can be done in this area? So this we will see at the end. So here you can see research, future research direction. This part, last part, future research direction. Again, I will not read these paragraphs because in these two paragraphs, they are not giving any research problem. But here in the third paragraph, in the highly digitized road infrastructure for future smart cities, city authorities may be able to dynamically change the road lane widths and traffic direction on the lanes by simply digitally remarking on the road and sending alerts to smart vehicle devices of the drivers. This would introduce additional complexity for current road or lane detection approach. So here, if you read this paragraph carefully, I will provide this manuscript to you. If you read this paragraph carefully, I can identify one problem, that smart communication between the roads and vehicles. There has to be a smart communication between the roads and vehicles so that they will be able to understand how much traffic is there, where the lane is going, which vehicle is coming from the front, something like that. That is a smart communication between vehicles and road. That can be the area, right? Then if we go through the second paragraph, with the adoption of autonomous driving and higher vehicle density in the future cities, speed limits may be raised to increase traffic flow, right? Speed limits means there will be the faster speed. This would require faster vehicle detection. This would require faster. This is second problem. See here. This would require faster vehicle detection technique for timely decision making in a more dynamic environment. Faster vehicle detection. This can be another problem. How we can do that? This is on the one hand provisions a large computational power, and on the other hand very reliable V2X communication. Solutions based on the real-time processing and image processing carried out remotely and relying on big data analytics are faced with severe challenges of in-time execution, network reliability, ultra low latency and accuracy. This can be second problem. Third problem, if we go through this paragraph, just I will read this line. When it comes to pedestrian detection in the future, one can envision that the roads may be shared by not only the vehicles, bicycle, motorbikes and pedestrians, but also mobile users with advanced gadgets like motorized shoes. See here, motorized shoes or skates. Those are also smart skates. They can also communicate with the vehicles. So this can be other future area, that is communication between the vehicles and motorized shoes. Please note this very important point. Motorized shoes, smart shoes. So that can also be the area how to develop a smart shoe or skates. This raises further challenges of detecting humans with the various speeds and shapes. This is another problem that can be taken as a research problem. Then last line I will read here. Alternatively, communication approaches focusing on content-centric, information-centric networking may also be brought into the address to address the safety challenges of future vehicles, while machine learning approaches and big data analysis may be used to assist the driver with the proactive and preemptive decision making. So this is one more area. So in this paper, when I'm going through, I found that there are 4 research problems that can be taken as. Now these are in general or the broad research problems. We need to discuss these areas with our experts, supervisor, guide, peers, and then we can refine those research areas. This is what I'm telling you. The same thing can be done with your area when you go through the survey paper. Okay, so this is what I have shown. That is second part, read the literature survey. Third is sometimes the research problems or thrust areas are mentioned by the funding agencies like Department of Science and Technology, DRDO, BARC, SERB, etc., or government R&D organizations on their website. Please keep in mind that not all the funding agencies provide the thrust area. If there is a special call for proposals by some funding agencies, that time also they mention the areas of interest or priority areas for research. You can see it on their website. From there, you can select your research problem. During this COVID-19 period, many funding agencies have identified the research area as a healthcare, engineering applications in healthcare. Uh, and these areas generally published on the website under the category as areas of interest, thrust area, or research areas. If I want to show you, I can just show uh, one funding agency. I can show you here. BARC, areas of interest. So here, if you go there, you can identify the areas of interest. See, core R&D areas include. So these are the core area R&D areas given by them. So this you can discuss with your supervisor and then you can finalize the specific area. You can discuss with like here R&D development activities. So this can be discussed and then you can finalize this area with the help of your supervisor or the guide. So this is third way of identifying the research area or the problem. Then further, if you find any societal issue related to your field of study, which can be very specific to your region, place, occupation, working environment like agricultural field, city like smart city, location, rural, urban, where you wish to provide a technological solution for a particular problem. In that case, a research proposal can be written and submitted to a local or state government authorities or private research organization. Only thing is that the expected outcome of the research problem or the project should be appropriately highlighted. As a result, you will get all the resources and experts from that organization. This is one way of identifying the research problem, selecting the research problem. Then the importance of the project, then the importance of the subject, your own expertise, the cost involved, the time factor are the few other criteria that must be considered in selecting the problem. In other words, before the final selection of the problem is done, you must ask yourself following questions. And what are these questions? Whether I am well equipped in terms of subject background to carry out the research, whether I am good in fundamentals, whether the study falls within the budget, cost required for executing the project, whether the necessary cooperation can be obtained from those who will participate in the research, whether my colleagues, peers, organization is can help me in doing this research, right? If the answers to all these questions are in the positive, you may become sure as far as the practicability of the research is concerned. So you need to consider the cost involved, the time required, and your own expertise before finalizing the topic. The selection of the problem must be preceded by a preliminary study. This may not be necessary when the problem requires the conduct of the research closely similar to one that has already been done. But when the field of research is relatively new and does not have a set of well-developed technique available, a brief feasibility study must be carried out. So what is my feasibility study? Feasibility study means analyzing all the factors that are required for successful project management. So feasibility study must be carried out before selecting any research problem. Then too narrow or too vague problems should be avoided. Too narrow or too vague problems should be avoided. It is important to adopt a flexible approach when choosing a topic to investigate. The goal when writing any research paper is to choose a research problem that is focused and time limited. However, your starting point should not be so narrowly defined that you unnecessarily limit your opportunity to investigate the topic thoroughly. If the research problem is narrowly defined, then you do not find enough information, and what you find is a peripheral or tangible information or irrelevant information to that particular topic. If it is not the well studied topic, in that case you find very less information, and what you find is tangible or peripheral information available on that particular topic. Actually, you find information that is so specific that it cannot lead to any significant conclusion. So whatever information that we search, we expect that we should get some understanding out of that. But if the literature available on the topic is less, in that case you do not uh, you cannot reach to any significant conclusion through that literature, and your sources cover very few ideas. As a result, you cannot expand them into significant papers. So too narrow topic for writing a research paper should not be selected. When I say the topic should not be too narrow, at the same time I say the research problem that guides your study should also not be too broad. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to adequately address the problem in the space and time allowed. You could experience several problems if your topic is too broad, like you find too many information sources, and as a consequence it is difficult to decide what to include, what to exclude, and what are the most important points, what are least important points, what is very important, like that. Also, you find information that is too general, and as a consequence it is difficult to develop a clear framework for understanding the research problem and the methods needed to analyze it. Additionally, you find information that covers a wide variety of concepts or ideas that cannot be integrated into one paper, or well proven ideas, those ideas everyone knows those ideas, then what is the point of including those ideas into the paper, and as a consequence you may go off track. So choosing a topic too narrow and too broad should be avoided. That's why the research problem should not be too narrow and too broad, and for that you can discuss with the experts in the area, professors or researchers working in the area. Also, you can visit nearby R&D organizations. Finally, the research problem should be selected such that its solution will really help society or the industry in some or the other way. As you can recall, in the inauguration session, Dr. Kushare already said that India is a country where there are lots of problems, but we as a researcher fail to identify a proper problem and fail to address that problem. So it is very important to select the research problem appropriately. The purpose of selecting a research problem should merely not be the publication of any research degree. Therefore, it should be selected appropriately. I hope with these many guidelines or guiding points, you will be able to select or identify your research problem. If I summarize this slide, we can say that discuss with your supervisor, guide, or expert. Go for reading the survey paper, review paper, or overview paper on your area. Latest survey paper I am talking about, not the old one. You can go for searching the funding agencies where thrust areas are already mentioned. Then you can look for the societal problems that people are facing right now. Then you can go for understanding the subject background for your own, then budget, time, cost required for that. Then the selection should also be based on the preliminary study. Then finally it should not be too narrow, and then it should not be too broad. So depending upon that, the research problem should be selected. So now next point is assuming that the research problem is identified, we will see how to narrow down it. when we are writing a research paper. When we have a very broad research problem, we carry out so much work in that, but what is to be included in the research paper, that is the problem when we are writing, because sometimes there is a page limit and sometimes we fail to highlight the novelty in the paper. So in that case, how to include or what to include in the research paper, or how to narrow down the research work so that it will be included in the research paper, that we will see. While selecting a problem statement or a research problem, we said that problem should not be too narrow and should not be too broad, as we have seen in the earlier slide. But actually, when the problem is said to be too broad, that this problem or particular problem is very broad, when we can say that a topic can be said to be too broad, when we find that we have too many different conflicting ideas about how to investigate the research problem, right? That is, when there is a confusion about, shall I concentrate on the modeling part? Shall I concentrate on design part? Shall I concentrate on controlling part? Shall I concentrate on experimentation part, benchmarking part, etc. That's why if you want to start the writing process of research paper by considering a variety of different approaches, by studying the problem, you will have to narrow the focus of your research at some point. That is, do not attempt or do not write too much in one paper, right? Sometimes the problem statement is itself given by the professor, supervisor and the guide or the funding agency. So even if they give a specific topic or topic for study, it will almost never be so specific. You will have to narrow it down at least to some degree. This is quite challenging when we are writing a research paper, that is narrowing a research topic in a research paper. Now this can be done through these 6 points that I have listed here: aspect, components, relationship, time, type, combination. Now how that can be done, I will just tell you. Aspect, when I say aspect, choose one lens through which to view. Choose one lens through which to view the research problem, or look at just one aspect of it. Suppose if I say aspect of discussing the model or algorithm accuracy when compared with the others. So suppose I am writing a paper, I can discuss only this part in the paper, that is model or the algorithm accuracy developed by you when compared with others. That can be one aspect. Or it is a completely new model or new algorithm which no one has proposed, that can be another aspect. Then appropriateness of the controller for the system. If suppose we are designing some sort of controller for any system, then what is the appropriateness of that controller when compared with others? That is another aspect. Or completely new control design or algorithm which nobody has proposed, another aspect. Or whether you are dealing with the performance improvement under a specific condition or the constraint condition, are you going for that? Or are you talking about the computation saving, complexity reduction, or technological development? So out of all these, not including all these topics in one particular paper, just segregate them and write separate papers for separate topics. So choose only one aspect at one time. The second part is components. Determine if your initial variable or the unit of analysis can be broken down into smaller parts. Now this we will discuss in more detail in the next slide. How to identify the different components of the research problem. That is how to divide the research problem into sub problems. So determine if your research problem can be broken down into smaller sub problems, which can then be analyzed more precisely. That is, initially we will go for only modeling part, then we will go for either software modeling or hardware modeling, then we will go for selecting suitable controller for the system or the control configuration or algorithm for the system, then designing it for a specific physical system or practical system, and then its comparison with the existing or prevalent controllers. and then it's real-time applicability. Sequentially, if we go like that, that is also okay. That is also okay. Third is relationship, where we can talk about uh, two or more different perspectives or variables related to the system. Example like cause and effect. What is the cause and what is effect analysis? Compare and contrast paper, or individual system performance or the performance in the group to the same input or constrained environment, that can be done. So relationship you can identify, and depending upon that you can structure your paper. Then fourth point is time. The shorter the time required, the more narrow the focus is, and want to finish it early. If the measurements are to be taken for specific time duration, suppose you are collecting data say for 1 month, 1 week, 1 day, depending upon that data you can go for analysis, and then you can go for writing your uh, paper with the help of the interpretation of the data. So 1 month data, or 1 season data, or 1 week data. So depending upon that you can decide time as a parameter. Fifth one is type. Focus your topic in terms of specific type or class of people, places, or things, like analyzing problem in small scale industries. Instead of considering all the industries, if I write one word as a small scale, so that will reduce your work. Small scale industries or particular application, then again it will restrict your work. Like healthcare equipments, analyzing the behavior of healthcare equipments. So this can be a type. By selecting a proper type, you can restrict your work. You can narrow down your work. Then next is place. If we talk about place, the smaller the area of analysis, more narrow the focus will be. Like agricultural problems in Nasik region. So if I say place, Nasik is the region where we can identify some agricultural problems, or we can consider Maharashtra as the region, or particular section is a region. So depending upon that rural area, something like that, that will restrict or that will narrow down your research problem. And last one is the combination of all these factors. Use two or more of the above strategies to focus your research topic very narrowly. Considering all these points, you can narrow down your scope while writing a research paper. After you have narrowed down your topic or problem, searching and reviewing existing literature may further clarify your research approach. So this is not going to be your final topic. After that also you will have to go for literature survey, literature review, and then you can refine your topic. Moreover, by identifying where the conclusion of previous research are unclear or where the gaps may exist in the literature, you will be better prepared to write good research questions. In the next session, that means next week session, we will discuss more about it while writing the introduction part of the research paper. So now, once we have understood how to narrow down the research problem, we also need to understand dividing the problem into sub problems. The research problem is a specific problem that the researcher wants to solve. Sub problems are the sub parts of the main or the more complex problem, and they are easy to resolve than the main problem. They are easy to resolve than the main problem. This is most of the research problems are too large or complex to be solved without subdividing them. Therefore, it is better to divide the problem into sub problems. The sub problems enable researcher to better approach the main research problem. When defining the sub problem, it must be ensured that some points we need to consider when we are going for the dividing problem into sub problems. So we need to ensure that each sub problem is completely solvable or reachable. Each sub problem is completely reachable or solvable. Each sub problem clearly tied to the interpretation of the data. Each sub problem is clearly tied to the interpretation of the data. All these sub problems add up to the totality of the problem. So that is one problem we have. We are breaking that problem into sub problems, and solution of all these sub problems will be the solution to the main problem. So all the sub problems add up to the totality of the problem. And essentially we need to have very small number of sub problems. We are not going to have large number of sub problems. 3, 4 or 5 sub problems we can have, and those sub problems can be solved to get the solution of the main problem. So we need to ensure that all the sub problems or each sub problem is completely solvable. Each sub problem is clearly tied to the interpretation of the data. All these sub problems add up to the totality of the problem, and essentially the sub problems are small in number. But most importantly, how to divide the problem into sub problems. Here I'm going to give you the very important tip to you, how to divide the problem into sub problems. This is the well proven method given in the literature that I'm going to tell you. What we will be doing is, first of all, write down the complete research problem on a piece of paper. First of all, write down the complete research problem on a piece of paper. It should be a complete statement. It should be a complete statement. That is first step. Second is, read the research problem critically several times till you get the whole idea of the research problem and tasks to be finished. The second important step here is to read the research problem critically several times till you get the whole idea of the research problem and tasks to be finished. Third step is after that, identify the areas that require in-depth treatment. Identify the areas that require in-depth treatment, that is understanding, modeling, experimentation, implementation, data collection, data analysis, interpretation, etc. before the main problem to be solved. So you need to identify what areas require the in-depth treatment. Treatment means analysis, where you need to carry out analysis and what kind of analysis is required to be carried out. Fourth step is list out all these areas. List out areas with words. So we have identified areas in the third step. Now list out areas with the words like model, design, construct, compare, evaluate, interpret, synthesize, benchmark, test, and recommend, and etc. Many more like this. So you need to list out areas with the verbs or words like model, design, construct, compare, evaluate, simulate, test, synthesize, benchmark, recommend, suggest, etc. Last step is arrange these areas with the word, arrange these sub problems in the proper sequence from beginning to the end of the research problem. So whatever words we have just noted down, arrange all these words in a sequence from the start of the research problem to the solution of the research problem, right? And this will, if you write like this in a sequence like a flow chart, this will indicate your research structure or research flow diagram. This will indicate your research structure or research flow diagram. There can be some inner loops as well, depending upon the research problem and the expected outcomes. Maybe you will have to move back and forth between these steps. So there will be some inner loops, right? There will be some inner loops depending upon the research problem and the expected outcome. But this will definitely help you to divide the problem into sub problems. So these are the important steps for dividing problem into sub problems. Write, read, identify, list out, arrange. If you go by this, you can definitely divide your main problem, research problem, into sub problems. Now here we need to understand the difference between narrowing the research problem and dividing problem into sub problems. Narrowing the research problem means limiting the scope of the research problem. That means I'm not going for this much work, but I'm going for only this part of the work. I'm only solving on this part. Limiting the scope of the research work is nothing but the narrowing the research problem. And dividing the problem into sub-problem means dividing the main problem is divided into different areas. Those will be carried out in a sequential steps. Those will be carried out in a sequential steps. So that is dividing problem into sub-problems. So write, read, identify, list out, and arrange are the steps involved in dividing the research problem into sub-problems. Dividing the research problem into sub-problems. Our next point for the discussion is the research question. How is it different from the research problem? So it will be clear from this slide. Here you can see that we have a research area, which is a broad subject matter. Then we have a research problem, which is a main issue topic to be addressed. Then we need to have a research purpose, objective of the study, and then we have a research question, that is interrogative statement asking the question. So this is the step: research area, research problem, research purpose, and research question. At the outset, the researcher must find out the problem he wants to study. That is, he must decide the general area of interest or the aspect of subject matter that he would like to inquire into. So this task we ask you to carry out in the assignment number 1. And in assignment number 2, you will be identifying your research problem and research question. So if this is done in the assignment number 1, definitely you can go for the next step. So you must decide the general area of interest or aspect of study matter, subject matter that you would like to inquire into. Initially, it may be stated in a broad general way, and then the ambiguities, if any, relating to the problem are resolved. Then the feasibility of a particular solution is required to be considered before formulating the research problem. The formulation of a general topic into a specific research problem does constitute the first step. Please note that here I am telling. Going from research area to the research problem, this is first step. The formulation of the general topic into a specific research problem does constitute the first step in a scientific inquiry. Essentially, 2 steps are involved in formulating the research problem. So how we can do that? Understanding the problem thoroughly and rephrasing the same into the meaningful terms for an analytical point of view. From analytical point of view. Suppose if I talk about my own experience about one problem, we were dealing with a problem that nowadays the demand for electricity is increasing because of newly invented devices and industrialization, globalization. The demand for electricity is increasing at a very higher rate, but at the same time it is not possible for the government agencies or the government to establish new power plants. So there will be a huge gap between the demand and the supply. So what can be done is we can go for the effective use of appliances at our home, domestic appliances at our home. Right. So this is how we can do that. That was the area. So what we thought is, can we apply some technique where we can identify or we can monitor the load pattern of the domestic equipments, and depending upon that we can turn on or turn off the devices. Can we develop something like that? So if some device is taking more power, can we turn off that device? So in that case, we need to apply some machine learning algorithm. So my area, research area, if I consider this as the complete scenario, if I want to select my research area, I can select as application of machine learning for load monitoring. This is my research area. Why I'm selecting this research area? Because there is a huge gap between demand and supply. Immediately we cannot install power plants, so we need to minimize the electricity consumption. And there are lot many techniques available here, but now we want to explore the machine learning area for that. So we are selecting the research area, application of machine learning for load monitoring. This is going to be my research area. So now I need to go for my research problem. So if I say only this area, whether I'm going to go for load monitoring of industrial equipments, healthcare equipments, or some other commercial equipments, it is not specified here. So I need to be more specific about that research area so that I can reach to my research problem. So in that case, I can select my research problem as identification of load pattern of the piece of equipment used for domestic application and take necessary action. Now I am restricting my, or I am specifying, I am going for identifying the load pattern of the equipment, which equipment used for the domestic application, and only identifying the load pattern is not sufficient for me. I will take necessary action. If it is taking more power, less power, what to do, right? This is going to be specific research problem, right? So this I am selecting as a research problem. After that, I need to define the research purpose, right? So we'll go ahead with this. As I said earlier, the best way of understanding the problem is to discuss with your colleagues. So if I select this problem, then I can discuss with my colleagues or experts in this area, and I can take his inputs, what I can do extra or what I can reduce in this, how can I refine my research problem, that can be discussed with this. So as I said, the best way of understanding the problem is to discuss it with your colleagues or with those having some expertise in the matter. In an academic institutions, the researcher can seek help from the guide who is usually an experienced man and has several research problems in mind. Often the guide supervisor provides the problem in a general terms, and it is up to the researcher to narrow it down and phrase the problem in the operational terms. In private businesses, units or governmental organization, that is funding agencies, the problem is usually assigned by the administrative agencies with whom the researcher can discuss as to how the problem originally come about and what considerations are involved in its possible solution, right? The researcher must at the same time examine all possible literature to go himself acquainted with the selected problem. So as we have selected this problem is identifying the load pattern of a piece of equipment in used in domestic application and take necessary action. If this is going to be a research problem, then I will go for searching related research material, articles, journals published on this particular topic. Then I can go for literature review. I can see what kind of work already is done in this area, what is the scope for carrying out future work in this area, right? This can be done. So we can go for literature review. Again, we can go for two types of literature review or literature survey, that is conceptual literature review concerning the concepts and theories, right? And empirical literature consisting of studies made earlier which are similar to the one proposed. The basic outcome of this review will be the knowledge as to what data and other materials are available for the operational purposes, which will enable the researcher to satisfy his own research problem in meaningful context. After this, the researcher rephrases the problem into analytical operational terms. Analytical or operational terms, that is to put the problem in a specific terms as possible. Specific terms as possible. This task of formulating or defining a research problem is a step of greatest importance in the entire research process. The problem to be investigated must be defined unambiguously, which will help to discriminate relevant data from the irrelevant ones. Care must, however, be taken to identify, to verify the objectivity and validity of the background, facts concerning the problem. This is nothing but defining the purpose of the problem. So as I said, when we were talking about the problem of application of machine learning for load monitoring, when we were talking about this, we have defined our research area. Research area is application of machine learning or machine learning applications in load monitoring. Then we have defined our research problem, identifying the load pattern of a piece of equipment used in the domestic application and take necessary action. This can also be further refined with the help of discussion with the professor, colleagues, expert, peers, or after going through the literature survey. Here you can go for the literature survey on machine learning, also literature survey on load monitoring, that can be done, and that after that you can go for the refinement of the research problem. And research purpose, if we talk about research purpose, is going to be, what is the purpose of this? To understand the energy consumption pattern of a household appliances. So how a particular appliance, suppose if I talk about the mixer, which is commonly used appliance at a home, how it is consuming the power, right? Or if any washing machine, how it is consuming the power, what is the load pattern for that? That is my first purpose, to understand the energy consumption. Then select most appropriate method of machine learning. So understanding all these appliances load pattern and collecting data, which machine learning algorithm will be more suitable for that. Then applying that machine algorithm for the recorded readings and test the algorithm and provide recommendations. Finally, the purpose of this research will be to provide recommendations to the government organization, that if this is done, then obviously we can go for the reduction in the power consumption. So this is going to be the purpose. So the research purpose is of the basic importance, because it determines the data which are to be collected, the characteristics of the data which are relevant, questions which are to be explored, the choice of technique to be used in these explorations, and the form of the final report. If there are certain pertinent terms, the same should be clearly defined along with the task of formulating the problem. The formulation of the problem often follows a sequential pattern where several formulations are set up, and each formulation with a more specific or than the preceding one, each one phrased in more analytical terms, and each one in more realistic terms of the available data and resources. So this can be done with the help of research purpose. And then we have a research question. A research question is a way of expressing your interest. Research question is a way of expressing your interest in a problem or phenomena. What is your interest in doing that? The interest is how we are going to minimize or reduce the consumption. This is the research question. How we are going to minimize or reduce the energy consumption in this problem. You may have more than one research question for a study. It is not necessary that you will have only one question. Research problem, and you will have several research questions related to that problem. So you may have more than one research question for a study depending upon the complexity and breadth of your proposed work. Research question is an interrogative statement asking the question. It is a particular question about the problem. And research problem is a statement. Research problem is a statement about, more precise statement about your problem. And research question is interrogative statement. Like question, how we are going to minimize the energy consumption? This is the question, right? So this is about research area, research problem, research purpose, research question. We have discussed this with the help of example, right? If I again repeat this, research area will be application of machine learning for load monitoring. This will be the research area. Research problem will be identification of the load pattern of equipments used in the household application and take necessary action. That can be a research problem. And research purpose is to understand energy consumption, or consumption pattern, to select most appropriate machine learning algorithm, to record readings for various equipment using some device, then to apply machine learning algorithm and record readings with the test of and test the algorithm and provide recommendations based on the readings. And research question is how we are going to minimize the energy consumption. This is the main research question. So depending upon that, you can formulate different research questions for the same problem, or there can be several research questions. It is not necessary that only one research question will be there for research problem. So there can be different research questions or several research questions. So this is about research question, research problem, research purpose, and research area. Then when we talk about the research question, we need to understand what are the characteristics of the research question. Here we will talk about the characteristics of the good research question. Each question should be clear and specific. It should refer to the specific research problem or phenomenon. It should reflect involvement in experimental work and note the target population or participants. Identifying a research question will provide a greater focus on your research. It will also clarify the direction of your research investigation. Quite significantly, a well-written research question will also shed light on appropriate research methods. Gathering answers to the research question generate the curiosity, provide new findings, establish relevance to the scientific knowledge, and guide further research. The research question should be clearly stated that anyone who reads should be able to understand it. And remember that you can state the problem clearly only when you state it completely. You should be able to describe it in one or more grammatically correct sentences. When I say feasible, feasibility talks about the adequate number of subjects or technical expertise, money, time, scope, etc. It is always better to have a practical idea about the question. Sometimes beginners rush to finalize the question without thinking about its implications. So this should not be done. So one has to think about the implications before deciding the research question. When you state your research question, you should say exactly what you mean. You should not assume that others will read your mind or others will read between the lines. You should state it clearly. So research question is very important and considered all those points while writing the research question for your research problem. So these are specific, clear, refer to problem, reflect intention, feasible, and most importantly, it should be interesting. The research question should be interesting. Moving to the next part, that is research methodology. The research methodology is a way to solve the research problem systematically. It can also be considered as the science of studying how research is done scientifically. In research methodology, we study various steps that are generally adopted by a researcher in studying his research problem along with logic behind that. Here, the word logic is very important. Logic behind that. If you are selecting any algorithm, why you are selecting that algorithm, that logic should be clear. If you are selecting any sensor, why you are selecting that particular sensor, what is the logic behind that, that should be clear. Hence, the researcher must know not only the research methods, techniques, but also the research methodology. There is a clear-cut difference between research methods and research methodology. I repeat here, there is a clear-cut difference between research methods and research methodology. Research methods is, suppose if I take the same example, application of machine learning for load monitoring. In that case, if I select machine learning, there can be different algorithms, supervised machine learning, unsupervised machine learning. These are the research methods. But out of that, which method is to be selected and why that particular method is to be selected, that is research methodology. I repeat, supervised machine learning or unsupervised machine learning algorithm. These are the research methods. But selecting one particular appropriate method for our application and why it is selected, what is the logic behind that, that is research methodology. That is research methodology. Hence, the researcher must know not only the research methods or techniques, but also the research methodology. Researcher not only need to know how to develop certain indices or tests, how to calculate the mean, the mode, the median, or the standard deviation, how to apply particular research technique, but they also need to know which of these methods or techniques are relevant and which are not, and what would they mean and indicate and why. Right? So here, if I am going for classification problem, or if I talk about machine learning, whether I should go for classification problem or other problem related to load monitoring, then why I am going for that? What is the logic behind that? So that should be clearly specified, and that is called as research methodology. Researcher also need to understand the assumptions underlying various techniques, and they need to know the criteria by which they can decide the certain techniques and procedures will apply to certain problems and others will not. Why particular technique is applicable here and why not other is applicable? Like why supervised learning method is more appropriate here and why unsupervised is not applicable here. That should be clearly stated. If that understanding is there, then we can say that you have a good research methodology for the research problem, right? So that should be done. All this means that the researcher must design his methodology for his problem, and the same may be different from problem to problem. The same may be different from problem to problem. For example, an illumination engineer who designs building lighting system, he has to cautiously evaluate the basis of his designs or decisions. He has to evaluate why and on what basis he selects the particular size of cable. If it is 4-story or 5-story building, I'm sorry, what should be the size of cable and why that particular size is selected? What are the number of lighting points, number of switches or switchboards, number of other electrical points and their electrical ratings, size of transformer? He should be able to clearly state that. Material of switches and all that. That has to be clearly specified. Similarly, in research, the scientists have to expose the research decision to evaluation before they are implemented. He has to specify very clearly and precisely what decisions he selects and why he selects them, so that they can be evaluated by others also. If somebody is saying that in this particular application, supervised machine learning algorithm is most suitable and unsupervised learning is not, then others should also be able to evaluate his readings, his statements, whether it is right or wrong. He has to state that. He has to state that. From what he has been stated above, we can say that research methodology has many dimensions and research methods do constitute a part of research methodology. The scope of research methodology is wider than that of the research methods. Thus, when we talk of research methodology, we not only talk of the research method but also consider the logic behind the methods we use in the context of our research study and explain why we are using a particular method or technique and why we are not using others, so that research results are capable of being evaluated by others, by the researcher himself or by others. Why a research study has been undertaken, how the research problem has been identified, in what way and why the hypothesis has been formulated, what data have been collected and what particular methods has been adopted, why particular technique of analyzing data has been used, and a host of similar other questions are usually answered when we talk of research methodology concerning a research problem or study. So research methodology, so there is a clear-cut difference between research methodology and research methods or research techniques. I again repeat here, if there are different techniques of doing something, those are called as research methods. And selecting a particular technique for our application and explaining the logic behind that and how other techniques are not suitable for us, that is called as research methodology. So considering the logic, select appropriate technique or method, that is research methodology. Moving ahead, we will talk about the research plan. So it has research objective, research problem, major concepts and theories, methods and techniques to be used, time and cost details, and then we get a solution. This is a research plan. If somebody says write a research plan on your research problem, then you need to consider all these points. After defining and identifying the problem, the researcher must arrange his ideas in sequence and write them in the form of experimental plan. That is, describe a research plan. This is necessary for the new researchers. Some of the reasons are why there is a need to write a research plan. Like, it helps the researcher to organize his her ideas in the form where it will be possible for him or her to look for flaws and inadequacies, if any. So at the beginning only you can identify what is required, what is not required, what is possible, what is not possible, what are the problems, what are inadequacies associated with the problem. So that can be done with the help of this research plan in the beginning. It also provides a record of what must be done and what materials have to be collected as a preliminary step. So this will be a guiding document, and also it will help this document will help you to get comments from others. So you can get comments from others and you can improve it or revise it. So research plan must contain some of the items listed here, as I have mentioned: research objective, research problem, major concepts and theories, methods and techniques to be used, time and cost details. So when I say research objective, it should be clearly stated in a line or two, which tells exactly what it is, and that the researcher expected to do. The problem to be studied by the researcher must be explicitly stated so that one may know what information is to be obtained for solving the problem. Each major concept and theory which the researcher want to study should be defined in the operational terms in the context of research project. The plan should contain the method to be used in solving the problem and overall and cost or budget for the research project should also be prepared and laid down in the plan itself. So this is all about the research plan. This was the last slide for today's presentation. So we have come to the end of the session. Summarizing today's session, we have covered what is meant by research problem, the purpose of research problem, how to select the research problem. Then also we covered how to narrow down the research problem when we are writing a research paper. Later we talk about dividing the research problem into sub problems. After that, we discuss what research question is and how is it different from the research problem, along with the characteristics of the good research question. Finally, we talk about research methodology and plan. These are the contents for the next week. The purpose of this session, today's session, and the last session was to give an introduction to the research and understand various terms in it. We started with the research meaning, purpose, need, motivation, process, ethics, problem, research question, etc. After taking the review of all these preliminary topics, next we will be moving to the actual part of our research course that we are carrying out, that is research paper writing. The next week we will briefly discuss the structure of research paper and focus more on writing the introduction part. That is the section 1 of the research paper. I request participants to mute because there is a noise. So next week we will discuss about writing the introduction part of research paper, that is section 1. It includes writing background, literature review, for identifying the research gap, then occupying that gap by putting our own contribution, organizing the content in a complete section, that particular introduction section, collecting and organizing and arranging references. So the next section will be next session will be very much important. Please do not miss it. These are some of the references for today's session. These are very limited references. There is a huge material available on research and research methodology. These are selective or representative references. Oh, just a moment. I click on. Okay. The quiz for this session will again include 10 marks, 10 MCQ type questions, and the assignment will have 3 questions. For these 3 questions, you will have to submit the type answer either in PDF or Word file in the same way as you have done for the assignment 1. If you are facing any problem in uploading the assignment, you can just write to us on WhatsApp group or email us. Assignment 2 is posted assuming that we have completed assignment 1. As we have seen that almost 50% people have submitted their assignment number 1. So I request all others to submit their assignment number 1. We are keeping it open midnight, up to midnight today. And after that, you can go for assignment number 2. Because all the assignments that we will be carrying out throughout this course will be the sequential steps for writing research paper, particularly from the next session onwards, because we will be dealing with the section 1 of research paper in the next session. So after that, all the assignments will be related to the research paper, and all the sequential assignments will help us to get our own paper at the end of this course. So please complete all the assignments seriously and sincerely. With these efforts, I am sure that at the end of this course, you will be able to have, or you will have your own research paper ready. The assignment questions for this week are given here. The first question is to identify 3 potential research problems of interest in your field. So using the procedure or the technique presented in this section, I think you can identify your own problem depending upon your own interest or field. 3 problems you are supposed to identify. The next question is to write the possible research questions for each of the above. So again, considering all the characteristics of the good research question, formulate a research question for each of the research problem. The last question is to write the research plan for any research question mentioned above. For that, select any one research question and write 1-page research plan. So research plan, as I said, it should include the brief introduction, purpose, research problem, methods, theories, time, budget, everything that should be included in a 1-page research plan. It should include, as I said, introduction, objective, research question to be addressed, theory or concept, research methods and techniques. You should also consider time and cost, and then submit all these questions in the form of PDF and Word file, PDF or Word file. Thank you very much for being with me for this session. I have finished from my end. If you have any queries, you can just ask to me or we can discuss. Sushant Agarwal has raised his hand. You can just ask any question if you have.